So I've been doing Slimming World for 5 months now as a vegan, and I've lost 1 stone and 5 pounds. I feel like this is a hard video to make, mostly because I'm admitting that I've hit a point where my weight loss journey is not as easy as what it once was. I got down to 9 stone 13. I can feel myself slipping into my old habits that were basically not eating enough during the day and being really hungry in the afternoon and evening, and then I end up binging on snacks and not actually having proper meals. And I did eat well on the days that I filmed, but the days in between I was slipping back into old habits again and not eating properly or following the plan. And then I would feel mega guilty afterwards because I didn't feel good. I don't feel good eating the way I have been. After Christmas and New Year, I go through the book again, and the week after that we got all weighed obviously, and a lot of people had amazing weight losses of like 5 to 7 pounds, and I was sitting there and had a gain of, I think I gained £1. I felt like a failure because everyone else was so motivated after having like basically a refresh of the book, and I don't know what I can do. Remember I said before, at every milestone I would like self-sabotage without even meaning to. Just something I find myself doing. But yeah, I've really enjoyed weightlifting and going back to the gym, but it's meaning that I'm starving, and I used to really like protein shakes and they are pretty high on the sins, so I'm trying to find that balance, and then I don't want to eat too much. I did go to some Zoom meetings. I did lose weight while doing the Zoom meetings, but then I would gain it back, and it was the £2 here or there of 10 stone that I would keep going back to. I've been 10 stone, I've got down to 9 stone 12, I went back up to 10 stone 2, and recently over the past few weeks I had actually hit 10 stone 5. You do care and you want to lose the weight, but it's extremely hard to get back into that mindset once you've kind of lost it. I kind of thought I would just start filming because I'm really struggling today. All I can think about is eating rubbish and having pizza, and I don't even... It's all I can think about in my head. Do you know, guys, I'm so fed up of seeing a gain on the scales. I'm just sick of it, and it makes me feel so shit walking in there knowing that I've not tried my hardest, and then it's like a pound gain, half a pound gain, and then it's just getting to the point that I'm like only half a stone away from where I started. I'm sick of myself. I'm fed up of feeling like I'm having to start the week again, and then I waste it after a few days of being like completely on plan and enjoying it. It's hard. It's been hard the past few weeks, and I feel out of control when I go through these phases. I feel like I have saved today, but I still don't feel good about myself. I still don't feel proud. Hi everyone, it's been months and I can only apologise for that, but I will explain why in this video. A lot has happened since I last uploaded a video. Funnily enough, the previous video is of my mum and dad's puppy. She is 1 year old today, so that just shows you how long it's been. Anyway, a lot has changed, so just a little rundown. I got my hair cut really short, and I became an auntie for the first time to my gorgeous, beautiful little niece. Finally, I passed my first year at uni for child nursing, so tomorrow is officially day 1 of year 2, so I'll be vlogging that as well, and I'd really like to get back into the swing of vlogging. The main topic of this video is I have quit Slimming World. Now, that is quite a big reason why I've not posted in so long, because I quit and then I thought I needed a few weeks to, you know, get out of the way of Slimming World thinking, kind of process everything, and when I wanted to update you all, the more I thought about it, the more I built it up in my head, and I thought I've got masses of notes on my phone of things I wanted to share with you guys about why I quit Slimming World, and I'm worried I'm not going to portray it in the way that I want to, and I'm worried that I'm not going to get everything across the way that I would like it to, but fingers crossed, it's probably going to be a long one, and I will be reading from my phone just to keep myself on track. Let's get started. So to cut a long story short, the main reason I quit Slimming World is because I realised how disordered my eating had got, and I don't want to give a bad name to Slimming World at all. I'm just sharing the things that I went through. Any consultant I had, bar one, was amazing. The groups were lovely, everybody at the groups were so amazing, and it's a shame that I came to the conclusion when I did, because a few of the people in my group actually recognised me from YouTube. So it's a shame that, you know, the way Slimming World is kind of made my eating quite disordered when I had got to that point of people being really supportive of my YouTube channel in real life. But that's by the by. I would rather have a good relationship with my eating and not have disordered eating anymore. Now, various trigger warnings, just I'm probably going to mention numbers. I am self-diagnosing, but there's no point in me going to a doctor just so that they can tell me the same thing that I already know, and I feel I'm definitely past it now. I'm working on my relationship with food, etc, etc, so I don't want to go through the hassle of getting a doctor just to diagnose me officially. So do with that what you will. If you don't like it, I'm sorry, but yes, I would 100% say I binge ate and restricted, and not in the way where I would literally like empty the cupboards binge, but overeat ridiculously, obsess about food, then feel guilty and restrict the next day, which then led to a vicious cycle of binging even more. For me, a binge could be a whole box of those chocolate fingers from Bourneville, or like having that plus lashings of peanut butter on full-size bagels, more than 3 packets of crisps in one sitting. I have a really bad, or did have a really bad back. It's getting a lot better now, but I would be up through the night taking painkillers downstairs in the kitchen, but in bed when I was trying to stop myself from thinking I'm gonna go downstairs and I know exactly what's in all those cupboards, like going through your head thinking there's this in the cupboard, there's that in the cupboard, I'm gonna eat it all, and then like the uncontrollable urge to just devour it all, and then the extreme guilt afterwards leading to restricting, even being scared to have, there's several things I used to be scared to have to eat, and I actually made a reel on Instagram about that. But like full-size bagels, bagel thins at all, it got to the stage I was scared to have avocado, smoothies, protein powder, like it's ridiculous. And also there's so many points I want to make, and I will come back to it properly, but I was never able to get a good gym routine, because anytime I went to the gym I would gain weight on the scales at Slimming World, and then that put horrible thoughts in my head about, well then I won't work out and I'll just not eat. Yeah, it was a big mess. So I'll just quickly go through what I'm like now, because it is leaps and bounds better than I was. I would say I think I quit Slimming World around November 2021, and I had lost about 1.5 stone on Slimming World, and I think I got down to like 9 stone 12, and then it became lockdown, and as we all know how that went. But I was like really good at maintaining, and then I'd gain a little bit and then maintain that for ages, and then gain a little bit and then lose the same 2 pounds over and over. But I would just blame myself, and actually it was nothing that was my fault. It was the restriction and the binging of the rules of Slimming World getting into my head. So now I have got myself a coach, and she is lovely. She's also Scottish and vegan, so that's like, I found her on Instagram, and then those 2 reasons kind of pushed me to think, yeah, actually I would get on really well with her. Her name is Danielle, and if you're watching, Danielle, I love you so much, and I cannot thank you enough for literally helping me heal my relationship with food and get a good gym routine. I will link her down below if you want, because she does take online clients. I don't know if she's looking for any at the moment, but you can find her Instagram and keep in touch with her because she does amazing body positivity posts as well. So I am actually about the same weight as when I started Slimming World, but my measurements are down. I look completely different. I am so much happier. And yes, I'm still on a weight loss journey, but I'm not eating in a disordered manner, and I am eating far more calories than I would have and still losing weight with Slimming World. So Danielle basically had to put me on a reverse diet, which means you up the calories a little bit every week just to see how you're getting on, see what your body can end up maintaining at. And yes, I think I put on like maybe 7 pounds from doing that, but then I was maintaining the weight on 2,300, no, 2,100 or 2,300, I can't remember, I'll put it here because I can't remember, calories. I was full of energy. So now that I'm able to maintain that, she's put me on a little cut, and I've been doing that for a couple of months now, and that was another roller coaster, getting used to not feeling restricted anymore. But I'm like, I've turned a corner and I'm so much better now. So I am on 1,900 calories a day. I'm going to the gym 4 times a week and feeling amazing. I intend to keep you all updated week to week with my weight loss and everything like that, but it's not going to be drastic pounds off the scale because it's a journey and I'm not putting pressure on myself like that. I'm happy with where I am just now. Like, my main focus now is to build strength at the gym, and then the outcome of that is naturally to lose a little bit of fat as well. So yeah, I hope I've explained that the best that I can, but we'll just leave that there. I might come back to what I'm like now as well, but I'm gonna go over the notes that I made on my phone because I kind of started that as soon as I quit Slimming World, and I've not read it for a while, so we'll see what I thought initially. So I wrote here, I kept going over my sins and feeling really guilty when I was actually under my calories and not eating enough. So there was guilt and under eating, and it's only when I took a step back from Slimming World that I realised a lot of the bad restrictive eating behaviours that had actually formed. So yeah, I remember tracking the calories that I ate one day at Slimming World, which would have been a perfect day on Slimming World, 15 sins, and it was 1,300 calories. Now that is far too restrictive. Like, it's no wonder I ended up binge eating. I also wrote, I didn't even realise I was restricting, but when I wasn't losing weight on a low calorie diet, I couldn't understand what I was supposed to do. I would see these girls being able to lose weight on a much higher calorie number than me, and I wondered how they could do that. I'd never heard of reverse dieting before. So like, people would say, oh yeah, they're like trim as anything and they're eating like 2,000 calories, and I was like, how? Because I'm eating, I thought I was doing myself a favour by doing 1,500 calories for a while, and that's still restrictive eating, but I wasn't losing weight because it was just too low calories for my body to function properly. I was exhausted. So yeah, that's where the reverse diet really helped me. I was able to heal my body and fuel it up to maintain on a higher calorie amount and actually function the way it's meant to. So I'd also wrote, I didn't realise that my actions were not normal. After I'd binge eat, I'd restrict the next day, but it'd be in disguise. As in, I would keep saying I'll just be really good and then I'll follow the plan 100%, which inevitably made the whole binge restrict cycle worse. To stop binging, you have to stop dieting, but I thought I couldn't because I was 2 stone over the weight that I wanted to be, and I thought if I could just push through the deficit, even though it was dangerously low. I would use hypnosis. You'll know from, if you look at my previous videos, when I did struggle, I would say like, I'm trying to meditate, I'm trying to do hypnosis. Like, I thought it was my lack of will. And then also at group, anytime I went, it was always changed back to like, how much do you want this? Like, your pros and cons of doing this weight loss journey. And I would force myself to go even though I'd had a bad week and know that the number on the scale was going to be terrible. but I thought I would punish myself into feeling so bad that something would click and that it would work to be able to lose enough weight for the next week. It's just so bad the way that it ended up making my mind work. I would use hypnosis that would imagine the food that you binge on and picture it covered in like rotten bin food, or covered in horrible like sick and things like that. And that's so unhealthy. That's so wrong. Like, no food should be off limits, but I just couldn't see that. Because I was restricting everything that I shouldn't have and that was bad food, was just so much more appealing to me than what it is now. I couldn't understand how people could just like have stuff in their kitchen that was treat food and not eat it all in one go. There's no need to demonise food. It forced me straight into a major restriction mode. It made me want that food even more that was off limits, because you always want what you can't have, don't you? So I watched some YouTube videos about how to stop binging, and it would say that it started by restricting calories. It would say that their binge eating started because they restricted it to like 14 to 1500. But I viewed that as my maintenance calories. Because of Danielle, I now know that my maintenance calories can be 2100. So when I overate binge eating, I'd gain weight, so I thought by restricting and willpower that I would lose. There was no way that I could maintain on 2000 calories. It seemed insane and impossible to me. So yeah, I've already covered about the reverse diet. Restricting certain foods like oil, and don't get me wrong, I know that the spray oil's a lot better, but I remember getting so upset because my dad made chips in the oven one day and had scooted a shit ton of Frylight on it, and I was thinking, how many sins is that going to be? Like, proper bagels instead of thin bagels, and even the thin bagels, it had to be a specific brand or it wouldn't count as your healthy extra B. And that just got me, and it was the brand of bagels that did count as a Hex B. You got 2 less in the pack and they were dearer. So I've wrote here, it even got to the stage I had to get the correct protein bagels that counted as a Hex B, or I had ruined the diet. Crustless breads, because you got 3 slices, even though I preferred the seeded bread. 15 grams of Biscoff spread was the absolute limit for me for some reason. I think it was still like 4.5 to 5 cents for that amount. In my oats every day I now have 25 grams. Like, I forgot how low it had actually got. Also, I would reward myself if I went to McDonald's and only got a Diet Coke. Is that not just like screaming eating disorder? I would restrict myself so much that when I went to McDonald's with a service user, because I work as a caterer, or if Ryan was getting a McDonald's one night, I would just get a Diet Coke. And then obviously restriction, ending up binging later on. I would dread the scales some weeks and I wouldn't eat the whole day. I was waiting to mention this to you guys. I got weighed on a Thursday evening, and the only time that I could make, because I sometimes worked till 7 PM, was a 7:30 class. So I wouldn't eat the whole day until I got weighed at 7:30 that night, and then because I was starving, I was promoting binge eating to myself. I'd try and shame myself into getting weighed, I've already said that, when I knew I had gained and made myself feel bad, and then if I stayed at group it wouldn't be as bad as if I didn't want it enough or I hadn't tried hard enough. I've mentioned that already. I voiced my feelings that I would do so well for a few days and be on 100% on plan, and then I'd overeat and binge. Not one person mentioned disordered eating to me. I remember telling my Slimming World consultant that in the night when my back was sore I would go downstairs and binge. Do you know what she said? Eat some grapes. Go downstairs in the night and eat some fruit if you're hungry. I wasn't well, I was hungry. I'm not wanting fruit when I'm restricting and ending up binging. Of course, who binges on fruit? Nobody. It was always techniques on how to stay on plan better for the latter part of the day, because I'd be so good in the morning. Good as in, looking back now, I would restrict the hell out of my food and not eat enough. Yeah, I've wrote when my back was sore and I was up at night and inevitably starving, I would binge on chocolate or crisps. They told me to eat grapes instead. instead of tackling the problem of binge eating or seeing it as a major red flag, it was always turned around to something I wasn't doing enough to lose weight. That's nothing against my consultant, because as I said, she was amazing, lovely woman, but Slimming World and their plan is just not equipped to deal with people that have more of a tendency to go into disordered eating. And I'm not saying everybody that goes to or does Slimming World is going to end up having an eating disorder, but I think if you've had a history of losing weight or restricting, then you go into Slimming World, it does trigger something in some people, not everybody, but some people, to go back into those restrict binge eating habits. Quite a few of the members there were returning from getting to their goal weight but never keeping it off. Even the consultant didn't keep it off. So to me, that's telling me it's not sustainable. I would also like to talk about hormones. As a woman and on a monthly cycle, my PT told me she can gain up to 3 kilos on her period. And I remember this vividly because I felt so bad and shit about it. On the Slimming World podcast that I used to listen to in the car for inspiration, they basically said and concluded that there was no reason to gain any weight on your period if you're following the plan. And that made me feel absolute shit and full of shame. Of course women are going to gain weight on their period, and there's nothing wrong with that. It comes back off after you're finished. But if you have you're already feeling shit because you're on your period, you go and get weighed and get told, well, there's no reason that you should really have gained weight even if you're on your period because you should have stuck to plan. Like, it's just madness. I hate the way that they're making people feel guilt and shame for a natural body response. I've watched a few videos explaining why people quit Slimming World, and I can't remember the exact way that someone said this, but it was to do with the Healthy Extra B. Healthy Extra B is meant to be about fibre. Why are nuts part of your fibre intake of a Healthy Extra B? Having to choose between nuts, oats and bread all in the one day. I still feel a bit funny about having oats. Say I fancy oats twice a day or oats and bread in the one day. I'm getting quite wound up about this because I just can't believe the way that these kind of disordered thoughts and eating patterns are promoted. A couple of more things and then we'll round up the video. So talking about the bagels, also being vegan, the Healthy Extra A was milk and cheese. Now I'm not going to be drinking that much milk and cheese. I was finding myself having to force myself to have the second Healthy Extra A if I wanted to follow it 100%. If I don't want cheese one day, why do I need to force it? The vegan cheese that was part of the Healthy Extra A had more calories in it than the one that wasn't, and it was like the cocoa cheese. You can't even get that anymore. Holland and Barrett even stopped stocking it the last time I checked. Yeah, look at the amount of vegan cheese that's available in the shops now, but again, like, anytime I thought that I was off plan or needing to get back on it 100%, I had to have that brand of cheese, I had to have that brand of bagel. I just feel that a more sustainable way of eating, and if you want to lose weight, is to learn about calories, learn about nutrient dense food, and find a way to eat the amount of food that you enjoy within a calorie deficit and make sure it's sustainable in the long term. Now, I'm not like an absolute expert at this. I'm obviously still on a weight loss journey, but I don't think a weight loss journey should make you feel guilt and shame, because that rebounds and you end up binging. If you can afford it, which I'm a student and I just end up prioritising my money. I'm obviously not the most loaded at the moment being a full-time student, but I prioritised getting a coach, and she taught me how to love your body, how to stop feeling guilt over food, and implement an 80-20 rule, which is 80% food that you know is good for you and healthy, and 20% those treat foods that we shouldn't cut out completely, because food is for enjoyment and life shouldn't be miserable because you can't eat certain foods. When I was like in the full cycle of binging and restricting, I couldn't understand how someone could keep it to the 20 without fully going like maybe 80% shit food and 20% healthy food. But now, because I've worked on my relationship with food, I can see that now, and it's hard to explain how it happened. And I remember watching binge, like how people overcame binge eating, and they would say this and it would never make sense to me at the time. But I promise, if you don't restrict your food, and don't get me wrong, I had to learn to like go over the score and then rein it back in and feel like gauge what, sorry my camera cut off there, but what I think I was saying was it took me a while. Once I realised that food wasn't an enemy and that I could have bagels, avocados, Greg's sausage rolls without wasting it, because I think they were like slightly over the daily sin allowance. Once I realised that those weren't demonised and I could have them and nothing bad would happen if I had them, then I got to a really good place eating at maintenance. But obviously I'm still, I think I'm 74.2 kilos now. So like obviously I'm still a little bit overweight. I don't have a goal in mind, I'm just bad with kilos and stones. I want to get to 10 stone, whatever that is in kilos. But I don't, like my initial goal was 9 stone. I don't care about that anymore. As long as my muscle definition is getting there, I'm working out in a routine 4 days a week and I'm happy. I don't mind. So yeah, obviously I'm still classed as a little bit overweight and I want to trim down. So Danielle, my coach, put me on 1900, and then that was also a little bit of a struggle, but it's still quite new to me. But I can 100% hand on heart say that I have not binged and not restricted. I don't even know for how long, but it's been a while now, and I feel at peace. I honestly feel at peace. It took me a while because I think my brain automatically was like, oh, we're in a deficit now, we're restricting, like going straight to binging. Binging is a habit. I really recommend the book Brain Over Binge. I don't know who wrote it, but I will check. That, along with my coach, has been the top 2 reasons that I've overcame this. So next to the thing is a vegan cake cookbook, but I don't know if you, yeah, that first one, Brain Over Binge, it's such a good book. Instead of relating your binging to things that happened in the past, trying to sort your life out elsewhere that's causing the binge, this girl explains that binging, you're binging because you want to binge. It's a habit that you've created, and it's normally from people that want to lose weight that create a bad habit like that. And then basically, I'm not going to give it all away because obviously you should read the full book because I'm not very great at explaining it all, but I explained to my PT, I've finally broke the binge cycle. You separate yourself from the urges. Your brain is separated into a conscious decision making part and an animal brain part that automatically responds to the urges, because if you've restricted for so long, your animal brain automatically thinks, oh quick, we better binge, because like your body's going into starvation, and your body obviously wants to keep it a maintenance level of not starving. Then when you binge, it keeps happening because your brain's created this bad habit. So the wires in your brain, every time you binge, the wires and the connections in your brain get stronger and stronger for this habit, and it gets reinforced every time you binge. And yeah, so the book explains ways to break those bad habits, and my back's been really sore the past 2 or 3 nights. I'm actually going to the chiropractor in about an hour. That was always a habit of when my back's sore and going downstairs to get some painkillers and maybe a heat pad, my heated blanket to lie on. I would think, oh, there's this in the cupboard, I'm going to binge. Now, downstairs right now, my mother-in-law made me a full massive brownie thing. Usually that'd be gone. The past 2 days that I've had it, I've had 1 bit a night and felt satisfied and not had the urge to go back to it and binge. I wouldn't be able to settle at night knowing that that brownie was downstairs before. And the same, I've got, like, Ryan and I have got little treat pulley plastic bins in the kitchen cupboard that's got like chocolate and sweets in it. And the other day I bought 2 of the Love Raw Kinder Buenos. They would have been gone by now, 100% would have been gone by now, but I can honestly say I've not even had the urge. And when, at the beginning, when I did have the urge after reading that book, like, you're allowed to observe those thoughts but not act on it, and it's truly helped. I'm going to update my coach about this because she's going to be really proud of me, and I'm proud of me. I finally feel in a place where my fitness is going great. I'm deadlifting 80 kilos, and before, like with my sore back and being at Slimming World that put me off going to the gym, I would never have imagined getting to that. My ultimate goal is 100 kilos, and that's something I'm able to focus on rather than the number on a scale. I find I'm really able to focus on my strength at the gym rather than the scale. Measurements as well are something to focus on rather than the number on a scale, because like I said, when it's your period and things, or you maybe have more water that day, your whole week's getting ruined by that number on the scale once a week at Slimming World. Now, for example, last week when I was on my period, the scale was up a kilo, but my measurements went down a couple of centimetres. So where Slimming World wouldn't have accounted for that, and then I would have went home feeling shit. I feel bad if people are disappointed, because I know a lot of these Slimming World videos helped people with weight loss. I'm still going to post my weight loss journey in the hopes that it will help other people, and I don't want to be promoting something that gave me really bad disordered thoughts about food. One last note to say before I go. I remember this one video I made, and I really struggled this day. I can't even remember what I wanted, but I didn't have enough sins for whatever I wanted, so I ended up having like yogurt and chia seeds and fruit, I think, if I remember correctly. So my point is, if I had just had what I wanted, the craving would have been dealt with and done. I would have been satisfied. But the way the Slimming World plan works, I had to figure out and dance around not being allowed this certain food because it was too high in sins, but was able to have something else that was free but actually would have been more in calories, and then I would end up binging anyway. So if I had just had this one thing, say it was a chocolate bar for like 200 calories, if I just had that instead of all this food to try and avoid the chocolate, it's calories in versus calories out, and Slimming World doesn't account for that, and then it puts people into a horrible cycle of binging. And I'm not the only person that it's done this to, and for a while I denied it was happening. Like I said, all the blame was getting put on me about not wanting it enough, about what can I do. But you're set up to fail, ultimately, in my opinion. I'm still going to keep the videos up, but just know I'm not doing Slimming World anymore, and I don't agree with a lot of the principles that they have. I follow a lot of people that go to the gym and lose weight on a calorie deficit, and I would like to make videos the same and show that you can still lose weight and be happy without Slimming World. On that note, I will leave you guys there. I will be posting more videos now that the news is out in the open. I am no longer doing Slimming World, and I don't agree with it, but you do you. All that matters is that we're happy and have a positive body image and are healthy. I'm going to leave that there before I ramble on anymore. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to everybody that's stuck around on this channel. I know it's been like 7 months, it's been ridiculously long, but I promise that I will be uploading more regularly, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye! I once felt I'm done with